Ba, 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 ba-da-da-da-da, the intro music. Do-do-do-do-do. Alright, we're live. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of
What's
the
up?
BCS Sports Show.
Welcome to another episode of We All Hate Our Football Teams.
We're all sad.
I'm not.
You're right.
Yet.
You've been dead inside for college football for a week.
You
couple
adopted
weeks, though.
Colorado, but then you're like, oh, they lost so well.
Hell yeah.
No, you said I said I'm not sad yet.
Spects always removes his sadness.
If I had to pick between BYU,
he always just says, I don't root for this team anymore once they lose.
No, if I had to pick a Big Ten team, I'll sure Colorado, but
You mean Big 12?
Big 12, whatever.
Big whatever
Right now,
conference.
Right
Big
now,
18 team.
USC could get bowl eligible, although I hope they lose out, so then I don't have to do
Duke's
Lincoln
Mayo
Riley anymore.
Bowl. Let's go.
I want Lincoln Riley fired.
Unless BYU somehow runs the table now and the luck swings their way, and they manage to make it to the conference championship and win it, then I'm rooting for Boise State in the playoffs.
Boise State would be fun.
That would be fun. Though
That's
I
literally
actually,
the big reason.
I actually
It has nothing to do with liking them. I mean, I like them okay enough, but
fine. Yeah, the blue turf is neat though.
Oh, USC and UCLA are playing right now, huh?
Yeah, I don't care. I expect nothing at this point.
Alabama
really
got
just
killed.
That USC UCLA game is just two wet noodles slapping each other. That's all it is.
Hell yeah.
It's the ghost of Eric Bieniemy and the ghost of
Ones
Lincoln
who
Riley.
decided to ultimately kill the Pac-12 conference are the ones who are flopping around in the new Big Ten conference.
Just like a couple of wet frickin' noodles. It's horrible.
The good news for the Big 12 conference is Army got throttled by Notre Dame today. So
Notre Dame hates America.
So
That is
basically, if
Notre
as
Dame
long as it's
communists.
either Colorado, BYU, Arizona State, or Iowa State, one of those the conference champion of one of those would make the college football playoff.
The only thing that sucks
unless Army somehow sneaks back in, or another conference champion sneaks in, one of those should be ranked highly enough to get that 12th seed.
I don't think the Big 12 is going to get two.
Yeah. Well, though,
they're not. They would get the 12th seed as the 5th conference champion.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
I got you, yeah.
Wait, do they not? Okay, how does the bye thing work? Is it not?
The top 4 conference champions get a bye.
Yeah. So it'd be the SEC.
And then the 5th conference champion is considered an at-large bid.
So who?
So
that's
here's
to go
my
to the 5th conference champion. So
let's say so we're saying the bye is going to be SEC, Big Ten. You're saying the ACC is going to get a bye?
Yep, Miami will get a bye probably.
They don't deserve it.
Yeah, but they'll probably get a bye. So what you'll have is as long as everything holds out, you'll have Oregon getting a bye.
Oh,
assuming
Oregon,
they win the conference championship, Oregon would get a bye. Who's the SEC champion right now? Is it Texas?
I think it was
Texas.
Yeah.
So
Oregon, Texas, Boise State, probably.
Oh, there you go, Boise State.
If Boise State wins their conference, I would have a hard time seeing Miami getting in over them, but
I wouldn't give it to Miami.
It'll probably go to Miami, I guess. But there is a solid chance Boise State can get in there, because if Boise State wins out, I don't know if I don't know if Miami can beat.
I don't think Miami's going to beat SMU.
I don't know if Miami's going to beat SMU in the conference championship. So then it would be Boise State as your 3rd seed. And then you'd get
see. Here's what I wonder. But the one thing I wonder,
they wouldn't leapfrog them, because then what you have is SMU would have a loss to BYU on their record. Boise State would only have a loss to Oregon.
But I'm wondering if they give it to Ohio State, because let's say Ohio State.
No, they can't. No.
It has to be a conference champ for the top 4.
Conference champ.
Yeah. So essentially, it's
the contract says the 4 conference champions are your top 4 seeds, regardless of rankings, as long as they're the top 4 rankings, basically.
So hypothetical. Oh, well, I guess so.
So essentially,
I
it's the
just don't see
even
it getting to
if
the SEC.
let's
the ACC.
say Miami, SMU, Boise State, everybody crap the bed next week. And everybody, so basically your next highest rated conference champion was like the 20th seed, ranked 20th. They'd still be the 4th seed.
Yeah.
Oh.
As crazy as that is.
No, that makes sense. I get it. I just
makes sense. You want to award the conference
in that scenario, your fifth conference champion could potentially be. I think if your fifth conference champion was unranked, they would just the spot would just go to anybody. It would just go to whoever they felt was the most worthy. I think they have to be in the top 25 of the.
That's just it's just wonky because I don't know.
It is a weird system.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think Miami's going to beat SMU.
But
I don't.
I don't care about the college football playoff spot as much as I care about BYU just winning the conference at this point.
If you
I only care about the college football.
What I'm really rooting for next week is for Arizona State to beat Arizona and for Iowa State, or for Kansas State to beat Iowa State. So BYU, and then if BYU beats Houston, then they get a rematch against Arizona State because that second half, BYU looked like they had figured some stuff out against Arizona State. So,
and then I think it happens. Meanwhile, in the other game, Colorado. I meant to say I should have just said it when we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
That reffing crew that was for the Colorado game, worst Big Ten officiating crew I've ever seen.
They weren't great.
Crew specifically was horrid.
I will say this after that win for Kansas over Colorado, I honestly feel like if they had just had some luck swing their way this year, we would be talking about Kansas as like, yeah, this is clearly the best team in the conference.
Is legitimately
really
good.
I honestly think right now. This may be hyperbole, but I think right now Kansas is the best team in the conference.
Yeah, they're running back.
The problem is they can't do anything about it. It doesn't give them anything.
And they have 4-1
you could
one
make an
score
argument
losses.
for Arizona State, but they barely beat BYU.
What was their?
So
I think I saw a thing on the college football Reddit where it's like, "Welcome to Kansas State. We're here to ruin your season and ours." I'm like, yeah. But hey, if you want to play spoiler, play spoiler.
Well, Kansas is doing it. I read somewhere they're the only unranked team to beat 3 ranked opponents 3 weeks in a row. Like, that's crazy.
The ref ran a screen.
They did call a defensive holding on that, luckily. But originally they didn't. It looked so bad.
I have to admit, the funniest thing in that BYU era, not in the BYU, the Colorado game was Shedeur Sanders took basically a kick to the head, and no one saw it allegedly.
Well,
he got kicked in the head, and then he got whacked, and they're like, "Yeah, no flag." And I'm like, "Wait, who's calling this game?" And I saw the refs. I'm like, "Yeah, this game's." Those refs called the LSU game, and it was a living hell.
Yeah, it was not.
Good. It was awful. Like that refereeing crew was not good.
It was
the one. Not. I mean, God bless the BYU ASU one because woo. that last 20 minutes, man. I tell you what.
Yeah, that was sad. It's okay. I thought Travis, we got off to a really bad start. We were down, I think, 17-0 at one point. And
you on to I mean,
came back. It's just our defense could not stop their running game. Their running back was, like I said, their running back
is really good.
He's really good. How many yards do you even have today? I need to know now.
A lot.
I want to know. Yeah, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns. And there were so many plays where it looked like we had him locked up behind the line of scrimmage, and he would just find a little seam or bounce it outside. He's so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's another week, and at least you guys have a chance of winning. I play Notre Dame.
Ooh. Yeah,
and my friends I have a friend who wants to go to that game, and I'm like, I don't want to go watch them get their asses handed to them.
Why would you want to go watch that? That sounds
the last
fun.
College game I went to was Arizona USC, and that game was a living hell. Because there's nothing worse. Because I'm like, they're gonna lose, and I was like, I'm being told shut up, and then it goes triple overtime. And I'm like, this is hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it was like an 8 o'clock start too, and I'm just like, put me in a body bag. The one thing I hate about if you ever go to a college game, I think Bryce has gone to a couple, so he can attest to this.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing of the college game with reviews and timeouts live is hell. It is so bad.
I mean, it feels like the games take longer. Just watching them on TV,
so
like
long.
every game's like 3.5, 4 hours.
It's so ridiculous. The pacing's just so bad. I mean, I've been to a pro game too, and I felt like the pro game sort of had a similar issue.
Right, but that's just football. Like, at least it feels like the pro game is pretty like streamlined. That kickoff start right when they say they're going to start. Halftime is the exact amount of time. Like.
There's a I think it might be TikTok or something, but I've seen them on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like it because it's all math, CJ.
Hell yeah, let's go.
It's a visual. So they did a visual like graphs of all the major sports, and football had 16 minutes of action.
That's gross.
Total.
Dude. That's so gross.
So they're like. Which is probably why like Red Zone exists because I do find it interesting. I'm like, yeah, football really does seem like the sport where not a lot happens a lot of the time.
No, and that's what you hear from people who haven't grown up watching football. They're like, this is boring. Like nothing happens. That's why, like, at least for me, like basketball and hockey are way more entertaining. Like just to watch, like just because stuff is always happening.
Whereas I agree.
Football, like you have the big exciting plays, but like. 1st and 10 where a guy runs for 3 yards up the middle sucks.
And then the clock starts
right, and then you lose 40 seconds of the game. Like
I know. Well, I honestly like. I get that they're trying to like get more football in less time, but the whole changing the rule where what is it? The clock still runs on first downs until the clock's within 2 minutes at the end of every half.
Right. Yeah.
That rule change has now like gotten me kind of bothered because. There's so much less football played.
Right. So it shortens the game.
I know. So there's a reason we're not seeing 50, 60-point games like we used to because it's like there's not more football being played.
Right.
CJ, the thing's called the channel, I guess, or channel's called Sports Ball.
Sports Ball?
Sports Ball. Nice. Underscore in the front Sports Ball. Yeah, so football, I believe, was 16 minutes. Was 16 minutes the actual?
Oh, these are like hand drawn. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was like 16 minutes. Like it's gross. I think basketball was pretty fair, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, these are. I'll have to check this guy out.
It's pretty good.
Ooh, they got scoregamis up in here. Love the scoregamis, dude.
There was a scoregami last week in that Lions game.
Oh, was there really?
Yeah, that 56-9 or something was a scoregami.
Oh yeah, that would be right. That's awesome.
I love how every math nerd gets very excited.
Hell yeah, scoregamis, dude.
Oh, speaking of math, remember how we were talking about calculus on Thursday?
Yeah.
I'm getting ads now for calculus tutors because of you.
Let's go.
I never took calc.
I can be your calculus tutor.
I don't want to.
I took calculus. I took AP calculus for like a week in my
you're
junior
like,
year
screw
of high
that.
school because I was ahead in math.
Uh-huh.
And so I took AP Calc for like a week, and I was like, it wasn't so much that I didn't think I could do it. It was a matter of did I want to do it at that point, and I was just like,
you want to do it for 3 college credits that don't equate to dick in college?
No. Well, and I knew at the time I wasn't going to be going into any sort of science or math field, so it wasn't going to really help much.
So in terms of football, you want to hear what the grossest part is?
What?
A quarter, so 25% of like the total time were commercials or intermissions.
For
gross. Football.
That's gross.
9% was in play.
That is gross. I don't know how you even fix
66% was stoppage.
That makes sense. But again, like that's one of those things that you can't really fix in football. Like it's kind of like it's like baseball. Like there's just going to be a lot of dead time.
Actually,
just the nature of the sport.
Actually, when they did baseballs wasn't actually as lopsided. Surprisingly, football was the worst.
Interesting.
because the pace of play got picked up. So like,
right, I was gonna say, how
so
much
the
did
dead
like the
times
pitch clock
wasn't-
and stuff like impact those numbers?
And they did it for a World Series game. World Series games are like playoff games in baseball are notoriously slow.
yeah.
Let me look.
Crazy.
Because I'm curious. I wanted to talk about it, and I think tonight's a good night to do it. Let me look because they have all of them. I think basketball was I think the most even.
Right, because basketball, the
so
hockey in the same
in
way.
play-
Yeah, it's
so
the ball's always
in
in
play
play.
was 37.2%. Not in play was 21%, and commercials were 32%, 32.3%,
Gotcha.
and free throws were about 9%.
I was gonna say free throws in basketball would definitely impact that number a lot.
So for baseball, in play time was 25 minutes, which equated to 15.5%. 15.5%. Not in play was 55%.
Mm-hmm.
Commercials were 28.7%. And this was I believe this is a World Series game.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So I found that how much actual or whatever. Well, I guess the best one then would be soccer, right?
I think so. It might have
Because
been.
that's a running clock. The ball is live the entire game.
I know they did it
even
for
with, like,
they did it.
except for like goal
I
kicks
think
and
so.
corner kicks and stuff. I guess.
I think that might have been it. I think it might have been
That
either soccer.
Or hockey.
I think it was soccer or hockey because I remember hockey being pretty balanced too.
Because hockey, you could go like a solid 7-8 minutes with absolutely no interruptions. In the game.
Yeah, I've been to hockey games. When I used to go to minor league hockey games all the time, it seemed like you had a lot of like stretches of like 5-6 minute stretches
where there's no penalties, there's no iced pucks, there's no goalie cover ups or anything, so no face offs. It's just constant back and forth.
It was just back and forth. Yeah.
Hockey's great, man. I've been watching a lot more hockey lately, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's go Avs. 1-7-4 against your Florida.
My backup team.
Yeah, your backup team.
My playoff team because the
Ducks, the Ducks are terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So football is worse than baseball.
Not surprising. But you know
I
what?
think that's why Red Zone exists. Like, legitimately, I do think that's.
Well, yeah, that is the whole thing. Is the idea behind Red Zone was to give you the fan like a viewing experience where you're not inundated with commercials and there's always something happening. Because like I know when I watch a single game, I want to switch to another game when it's like in between a timeout or like whatever, right? But like that kind of sucks to do because then you don't know when to switch back to your main game or whatever. So.
Yeah, without like unless you have like season ticket, which helps a little bit. But you can only have, I think you can do the Octobox, which is 8.
That's
but
not
the
bad.
the thing that sucks, and I wish they fixed this, and baseball finally did, was I wish they allow you to put any game in that Octobox, like even your game, in there, like the local game.
Do they define what can be in those 8 games?
If the game's on CBS or Fox in your area, it can't be in there.
That's stupid.
Which makes no sense.
I hate that.
Because I think it should operate I think if you're paying for that, it should operate the way Red Zone does, where as long as there's other games going on, it's fair game. But if that's the last game standing, then you have to go do a local. I think to me that's fair game.
You know, I will just say these stupid blackout rules have ruined the viewing experience of sports.
But baseball related
to those.
Baseball got rid of it. Baseball's gotten rid of it.
All the leagues need to realize that if they're gonna like, there's certain leagues that if they're gonna survive, they need to realize just figure out a way to get it all on streaming.
Yeah, like I said,
don't do local blackouts because like you're not.
Eventually,
these TV contracts are going to go away, and then you're going to be left with nothing. Trying to hurriedly scramble to set up a blackout-free streaming thing, and when you could just get ahead of the game.
Yeah, baseball's doing all their games.
More money off of it.
Baseball's doing all their games on Prime in market because Bally's now FanDuel, So if you don't have it, they have a streaming option where it's through Amazon Prime. So I think all you need is a Prime subscription and you have it, I think.
That's
So you should be okay now.
yeah, and then like the Nuggets launched their own app, so like the Nuggets and Avs.
Yeah, the Ducks have their own app. Like
There's
the
their
Ducks
own
are
app.
over the Ducks
Jazz
are
did the
over
same
the air.
thing here, and
Yeah. That's the way to
hockey
do
club
it.
here did something similar. So
Yeah.
that's, and literally like Ryan Smith here in Utah, he could have for both of those set up with some sort of like, you know, like Sportsnet or some whatever
Mm-hmm.
regional sports whatever thing. But instead, he specifically said, "I'm going to set up my own media company and control everything and run it on one of the free local channels."
So in terms of their own company, that is kind of scary because that's how the Nuggets have been for years. Like the Nuggets have been on Altitude, which it's essentially owned by Kroenke. But the thing is they're so small. That's the reason.
Not. Well, no. He's not running it on. He's not running it on his own network.
Oh, gotcha.
He owns the like, so
he owns the rights.
His company produces, like, he has a company called the Smith Entertainment Group or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
SEG, and they hire all the like talent,
Producers and talent, and all that stuff.
Cameras,
Yeah,
and
they
everything.
just have the rights,
and then they just go to some of the over the air channels.
Gotcha.
Sign deals with the companies that own those over the air channels.
Okay, that's much better.
So, like,
Yeah,
the Jazz, it's K-Jazz, which is a subsidiary of the CBS station here,
right.
and that's free, something you can get on.
Yep, that's what
antenna.
the Ducks did.
And the same thing with the hockey club. They I mean, I even got a little bit more inside of that because I work for Scripps station.
Right.
And Scripps Sports is the one that made the deal with them to run it on Utah 16, which is also a free channel over the air. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what we did here with the Ducks. The Ducks are on what used to be for us it was KCOP 13, but now it's Fox Extra. It's just a random channel, and that's
the only issue
that's where we are for Victory.
The only issue that Utah Hockey Club has run into is the channel that they have that Scripps had that was free was a former Ion channel. It still kind of is Ion, I guess, but it's weird. But because it was Ion, Comcast opted just not to carry it for a long time because they were like, nobody's watching this.
Right.
And then now they're like, we're still not going to carry it. We're still not going to make a deal with them. So Comcast subscribers have to like try to get a antenna, and if they can't, then they obviously what the good news about it all though is even if you can't get it with your current service person, you can always buy the subscription. Like it's $100 subscription or whatever, and you can just watch all the games on your phone.
Yeah,
and that's on the TV,
and that's where the Nuggets were, right? Is Kroenke had its own channel, Altitude. And a couple years ago, Comcast and them couldn't come with a deal. So if you had Comcast, no Nuggets. There was no way to watch the Nuggets if you had Comcast. And it wasn't until recently that they offered a streaming service, and they're airing some of the games, like 20 of them, on one of like the over-the-air channels, which is kind of like this weird middle ground. But at least it's better now. But so yeah, it's
I know the Ducks are on Victory, and I want to say Victory is free to watch, so it's not like at least for for the Ducks and I think a handful of other teams.
Mm-hmm.
For hockey, it's free.
But yeah, like for the last couple of years, I had to VPN NBA League Pass in order to watch the Nuggets. It was stupid because the NBA blackout rules were terrible.
I assume their goals are going to go away. I think
the Nuggets, the Lakers are winning.
They are. I'm watching it right now. It makes me sad.
I don't even have the Lakers anymore.
Jokic has should have second dad powers. I'm not sure why he's not just destroying them all right now.
Dalton Connect is starting to look like everybody made a huge mistake not taking him in the top 5. Like he's looking like he should have been a top 5 pick. Like
he's from Colorado. I like him. Let's go.
When he fell, because I remember watching that draft, and I kept seeing on Mel Kiper's big board, like it just kept like after a bit, like I think because he was like 7th on Kiper's big board or whatever.
Mel Kiper does the NBA?
No, it's
Was it Mel Kiper? No,
the other guy.
Sorry,
Billis.
who am I thinking of?
Jay Billis.
Billis?
Isn't he
Billis?
usually the one that does it on ESPN?
You know, Billis, Mel Kiper, they look the same.
Anyways,
Whatever. You
It's not about
see him
what-
once a year. Like, who cares? Like,
but anyways, but on the big board thing,
yeah.
it kept showing like after I think Connect was like 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept after the 7th pick, it just kept showing him on top, like just constantly. And teams were like, "This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy." And it got to the Lakers, and I was like, "Come on, Lakers, don't overthink it. Don't
Just
connect.
take the better
Super
player.
talented.
Yeah.
Anybody else,
Take the
you're taking
white
like
boy."
a really good gamble on." And so it's funny because I was listening to I think it was Fox Sports Radio the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "How did other teams pass up on Dalton Connect?" And what the other guy said, the problem is these NBA scouts have this weird bias against 4-year players.
They
They
do.
do. Yeah.
They're like, oh, the reason you look so good was because you were your senior. You should be better because you're older than these guys. You're not going to be talented enough for long enough in the NBA.
And he was a super
That's right.
senior.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton
Yeah.
Connect was.
And
yeah.
so he's this older guy. So he's this older kid. So it's like, yeah, no, your talent's only because you're older than everybody. It's like, I think you guys need to rethink that and just look at the way he's shooting the ball. Not
Leave it.
I think that
Leave
is
it to
shifting a
JJ
little
Redick.
bit, though.
Leave it to JJ.
It's a
Redick to
little
find
bit,
the
but
white
it's
boy
a little
to
bit.
shoot
the fact
threes.
that Connect fell that far because like you had to have it's almost impossible unless he was just terrible in pre-draft workouts for all of these teams except for the Lakers. Unless he just like came out and airballed everything, you had to have seen what he had and gone, yeah, this kid's good.
Right.
But the problem is a lot of these cats must have gone, yeah, this kid's good, but he's older, so his ceiling's probably lower. So let's go for this other guy. Let's overthink it and go for this other guy who's lower down on most people's lists. It's like, I don't know. I'm happy about it though, because belonging to the Lakers, and you know,
Though I think part of that is NBA teams probably, I would imagine, a lot of times will want like a rawer product. Because right, if someone is a freshman coming in, they're 19 coming in the NBA, that means by the time he's 22, he will have had 3 years of like NBA training and coaching staff and stuff like that. Whereas if you're getting a senior, he hasn't had any of that NBA experience, and he's already 22. So I kind of understand where they're coming from, but there are definitely cases where they overthink it and take just the worst player because they think the ceiling might be slightly higher, when it's like you can get someone who's closer to that ceiling already, you know?
Well, is it
Well, yeah,
the high,
and I'm
that
sitting
high
here
floor,
like,
low ceiling, you know?
Yeah.
Some people
Well,
don't like that.
and I'm sitting here like, if for the Lakers, if this is as good as Dalton Connect ever gets, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he's a solid player off the bench.
He
Like,
would be
he's fine.
He'd be a solid bench player. He could potentially, on the right year win a Sixth Man of the Year award, and that'd be great. But if he does continue a good trajectory, he could be a guy who's, who all of a sudden we're 5 years down the road he's with the Lakers re-signing a huge contract, and everybody's like, how did we not get this guy?
Well, I mean, and Christian Brown's a good example of this too, right? The Nuggets drafted him 3 years ago. He was a junior. He helps them win a championship in his second year, in his rookie year. And then this year he's averaging almost 17 points a game.
Yeah.
But he was 2 years older coming to the league. If he came in as a 19-year-old 2 years prior, I don't think he's doing what he's doing now.
Well, I mean, like, I just think sometimes I think these teams just really need to stop overthinking things.
They do.
Because I mean, look at who the Lakers starting like point guard is. Austin Reeves.
Is that
he
who
was
their starting
what, a
point guard is
second
right now?
I think so. Right now he's
I was like, I guess D'Angelo Russell probably is in low life right now.
He's in the doghouse.
He is in the doghouse. Yeah, he's not even listed as a starter.
Oh no! Today
so
it's
funny.
not even a starter. It was. Oh no, Reeves is your starter. But I think your point guard was. Is your point guard? Is it Reeves or is it Reddish?
No, today it's Reeves.
Or is it Connect?
Connect is off the bench.
Who's
today.
your shooting guard? And then any way.
Mhm.
It's oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong game. Anyways,
Today's game, they
I was
went
looking.
four
I was looking at
forwards.
their game against. I was looking at their game against. Okay, so yeah, no, Reeves, I guess, would be your starting
point
guard
guard.
because
Or,
Reddish is a stretch.
I mean, LeBron technically, I guess, is the starting.
yeah,
point
LeBron.
guard.
Well,
It's
that's what I
LeBron
was saying.
James. Yeah.
In any case, it's really LeBron.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing. I know. BYU basketball though has this guy. Like I've been telling you guys about him, and just watch this season. There's chatter right now, although BYU's only played easy teams, but there's chatter that he could be launching himself into the top 3 pick conversation. And I'm telling you, I think he really could build himself to be the next what's his bet Dallas guy. The Dallas Euro guy.
Don't say Luka. Don't say Luka.
Luka.
Don't say Luka. No, that's crazy to say again about a college player. That's
well. The thing is,
that's crazy.
The thing is his experience up to now has been in semi-professional EuroLeague stuff.
Oh, is it?
That's why they're making the comparisons. Is
because
he could have he almost could have come out of the same system as Luka, but instead he chose to go to college for a year because he wanted to play for BYU's coach because BYU's coach is was an NBA assistant guy. So it's
Igor Demon.
Jaeger Demon. Yep.
To be fair, I compare Caleb Williams to
and look, obviously that's like a way too early comparison to make. He could make it into the league and then just fizzle out.
Yeah, 100%.
But he has like if you watch some of his highlights, he has some tools. He's really long and he's got a good vision. He knows when to pass the ball and when to take the shot, and his shot has improved in college so far. He's shooting like 50%, or not 50%, 40 something percent. And he was shooting like 20-something percent in the EuroLeague, so it's like he may be even getting some good like improvements from just playing a year in college. Because he's probably a one and done guy. Him and Cannon Catchings.
Hey, it looks like he was averaging what, like 18 points a game or something? Yeah, 17 points a game already. And yeah, his Wikipedia even compares him to Luka Doncic by an ESPN journalist. So hey. That's a lot. But so Luka to the Nuggets, right? Okay.
Anyways.
I love BYU talk.
All right, I guess
this is the one guy. All three of you guys like because Jaeger Demon could end up being he could end up being like a really good top pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll do great for the Detroit Pistons.
The Utah Jazz. That's who.
Jazz
that
are
would be
the ones.
Funny thing is for him to go to BYU. Live in Utah already, and then probably be thinking, all right, I could play for the Detroit. I could play for whoever. And then it's like, you've been selected by the Jazz. You don't even have to move if you don't want to.
Go live in the mountains.
Speaking of draft, the WNBA draft happened, and the Sparks didn't get the first pick, despite them having over a 50% chance to do so.
Sparks hired
Utah's old coach.
Utah's
old coach. Yeah.
which is actually a big deal in NCAA women's game because she had led Utah to be like a pretty good powerhouse. So it's like, if her assistant can keep it going, great. But like, that's the question is,
I just wanted Cameron Brink, and the fact that she has to suck a little bit, or someone has to do better than her for me to get her, kind of sucks. I don't think she was too happy about it either.
I don't watch enough women's college
basketball. I don't either.
Or WNBA for it to really.
Someone asked her if she saw it, and she's going to the Dallas has the number 1 pick, and Dallas was slightly better, but it seemed like, dare I say, a little fixed.
Yeah.
That's
always the thing with any draft. It feels.
I kind of hate draft lotteries for that reason.
Because there's that like mysteriousness where you're like, was there a cold envelope, Mr. Stern?
Yeah. It's like I feel like there's too much tomfoolery where it's like, can we just do reverse order?
Although it's interesting in the NBA. The reason I sometimes am like, well, maybe not so much in the NBA is because there were those years that the Lakers were like had really good odds for getting like a top pick.
Yeah, and they got the number 2 pick.
And they kept getting the number 2 and 3 picks, and it was always like, well, never mind. Like, you would think that the NBA would be dying to say, let's resurrect the Lakers at any cost. Like,
well, hilariously, sometimes the number 2 pick's the better pick to have.
It's true. There's less decisions to be made. Which is odd
for some.
Yeah.
Because all it means is like CJ and I talked about it, where it was like the Lakers could have drafted Tatum.
Yeah.
Because Tatum went 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
But they took Lonzo,
which wasn't a bad pick.
No, because we still got a ring.
Anthony Davis out of it,
which in a ring. So
yeah.
But
yeah, it's just funny. The year that the league was running the Hornets, I think, is the year they won the lottery to get Anthony Davis. So if you're into the conspiracy theories, that's definitely fueling that.
I think my favorite one was the Knicks one from the 80s where the envelope.
Oh yeah, with the bent. I thought it was a cold envelope. I couldn't remember what it was.
There was a video. There's a video where when they threw him in, he threw it and it hit the back of the bar, like the bar inside of it, so the corner was bent.
Gotcha.
So he could feel for it. I'm like, crazy. With the Knicks, Patrick Ewing or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I love when they do the draft show. They have like the law firm, and then there's like dudes with like a handcuff briefcase, and they're like, "This is official."
See, we don't know.
Like, yeah,
we don't know, guys. I swear.
Hey, it's better than the Major League Baseball draft lottery. That one's just stupid.
Oh, because it forces owners to spend money.
Because it's like, hey, you suck. Well, you suck too long. No draft pick for you.
No. I looked into this because
I know you looked into it. I still think it's stupid.
Oh, it's stupid, but I like the idea of like, hey, you cheap asses don't want to spend money. Here's what you get.
What if they're just bad at spending money? That's my question. Like the Rockies.
Or like the Angels.
Or like the Angels.
But the difference is
Chris Bryant, Anthony Rendon. Like,
but see, the difference is, and it's sort of like we were talking about. Look what the Rockets did. It's the same situation of the league doesn't care where you're spending money. They want you to spend money.
Right, 100%.
If you're sucking and not spending money,
and that's why
they don't want you to rebuild through the draft year after year because it ruins the product, which I understand.
Right. And that's why I like how the NBA does it, where if teams haven't hit a salary floor, they have to get to that salary floor by giving bonuses to all the players already on the team. So they're spending the money anyway. Like, yeah, they might as well spend it on the players, right?
The problem is like the way the union is for baseball, it would never do that. So the only way to punish them is tell them like, you get the 10th pick, which you still could get the best player.
That's true. And baseball's weird because like,
so that's
it's
like
way more often the first overall pick just kind of flames out.
Yeah, like you're not the likelihood of like I know people like Angel Circles were making a big deal at the Angels DFA'd like two of their top picks for a few years ago, and I'm like, that does not matter.
Yeah.
The likelihood of them hitting is slimmer than them failing.
Right. Like at least in basketball and football, we see them play and see that they suck. And then
you can see
that's kind of that's kind of like what I like about what the Angels have done with some of their
you can see they suck.
Is what I've liked about what they've done with their top picks recently is they've taken guys that they're like, these guys are pretty close to having MLB skills, so they put Neto and
Close is a very loose word there.
But that's the idea is they're supposed to be close.
I think the idea is, hey, we need a body. Let's just try him. If he fails, whatever.
I mean, all I know is every time they've drafted these guys, they say the MLB draft experts say, well, yeah, these guys are close to MLB ready.
Yeah, but what is that? The whole thing is that doesn't mean.
It was the same thing with Neto. It was the same thing with Shenwell.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. You think that doesn't? All it means is like, oh, the developmental. It's like it's just the development clock started in college. That's how it should work.
Well,
is
yeah,
that instead of like,
but that's what I'm saying. I like
instead
the
of like
Angels,
3 years, it's
but
a
I like
year.
that the Angels have done that.
Yeah, I don't like
you're
it.
pulling in these young
I don't
talents
like it.
and saying,
I think it's horseshit. I think it's stupid. I think it's a waste of time because it doesn't fix any issues. It stopgaps the issues.
I mean,
like,
at
if
least
you're-
with Neto, you're getting more talent.
I think
More talent than you could sign.
That's a hard no there, champ.
Not more talent than is available to sign. More talent than
that's a hard no.
sign.
At the time, no. Now,
Are you saying
debatable.
they could? Are you saying they have the ability to sign someone that was better than Neto?
If they wanted to, yeah, they could. If Perry said sign,
let me
if Perry said,
let me reframe the question. Let me reframe the question. Would any of those guys that they could have signed be better now?
Yes. Trey Turner Trey Turner is a better talent than Zach.
So the Angels were on the cusp of signing Trey Turner, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that
that's the goalpost I set for you. That's the goalpost I set for. No. That is the goalpost I set for you.
Can I talk?
I said Perry, could. I very much emphasize could.
They could. Would they have? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Rendon was his buddy. It's possible, but we never got to find out because that didn't happen. Because Perry nixed it. But if that were the case, could he have come? Possible. Did he want to?
We
don't know because the Dodgers didn't offer him a deal, so we don't know. But if they would have offered him comparable money, a little bit more than what the Phillies did, and he got to play with Rendon, might have saved Rendon's career. I think it's plausible to say that they would have got it.
That's a stretch.
I'm not saying it's likely, but I'd say it's plausible because he did go play. He did go play with this old another guy from Washington, and we did know Rendon was one of his friends when they were both with the Nationals. Like I said, do I think it would have happened? I don't know, but we don't know because that never happened. So I don't think it was
I doubt the Angels' ability to sign free agents because even when they do go in on them, they've never been able to go in on them. Freaking!
They've gone in on
them. Look at Shohei Ohtani.
That's
no.
That's an exception to the rule.
The number that they but the number that I forget who the reporter was, but the number that the guy pulled that said the Angels offered, it was like 400 something million. That wasn't even going to beat the Blue Jays.
Okay.
But that was Artie's max number. And way more often than not, Artie's sitting here saying, this is what I think his market is worth, and it's as much as I'm willing to go.
Let me ask you this question, because I think this is something that people forget, and I don't know why they forget it. And it's stupid to me that they forget this. He outpaid and paid market value for Mike Trout that was at that market, which at the time, until Ohtani, was the highest deal in North American sports.
Yes.
So, in his mind, $400 to $500 million is probably where he thought he would have to go. He's not necessarily thinking that far ahead because in his mind, that's what it took to get Mike Trout, and Mike Trout was the best player at the time. He's not necessarily thinking to go.
Well, I think the league has passed him up in terms of the money he's willing to offer to players.
I think that's inherently
I think the
false.
Salary offerings have.
I think that's false. I think that's false. I think you're basing
it. Show me a signing that actually qualifies.
I think you're basing it off.
I think Trout was his limit. I think Trout was his upper limit because that was about the number that he offered to Ohtani.
If we're complaining,
I think the numbers that he's offered to Trout, the number that he offered to Trout, the one that you point out,
he offered Rendon $270 something million. So okay, you're not going to sign Juan Soto. Okay, you're not going to. That's fine. You don't have to sign a guy you don't have to go out and sign $600
No,
million.
I know. He's doing it. He's doing it with every player on the market.
How is he doing with every player on the market? What are you talking about?
Because if the Angels are going to do anything other than develop young talent, the Angels are going to do anything, they have to offer these top guys. That number so if it's a pitcher, it's generally been shown that Artie's willingness is less. So if it's a pitcher, if it's a top end pitcher, he's not going to offer them enough what the other teams are going to offer.
But
all I'm saying is the results of what has happened in the past 5 off seasons. I'm talking about the results of the past 5 or 6 off seasons and the crap that he has signed.
He signed not even 3 years ago. He signed Thor to a 1-year, $21 million deal.
Exactly.
Is that below market value?
Well, okay. So what he was hoping for there was, so you're giving me an example like that, and it
worked.
So what he was hoping for there was that it worked to an extent.
It got you Logan O'Hoppe. It worked.
He was solid.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah. I agree that the talent he got back in return for that investment turned out to be good. But as you stated earlier, it was a gamble.
Yeah, and it worked.
But it was a gamble. So you can't be sitting here saying, yeah, well, he offered $27 million and then it turned out good because of O'Hoppe. That's using the ends to justify the means.
Offering money.
That's using the ends to justify
candidates.
No. He didn't offer the money to Syndergaard because he knew that he'd get a great player in O'Hoppe.
You just said he did well. So I don't understand what
Yes, because you're using the ends to justify the means. You're not using his intentions.
Because I don't know what his intentions were.
But we're talking about how he approaches every offseason. We're not talking about how the results came across.
If his intent is to put out
anyways, his point, the whole point of signing Syndergaard was to get he was hoping that Syndergaard could come back and be the Syndergaard of old. Was why he was willing to and it was a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the actual top talent the way he wants to sign things. But the further out, these top talents that are coming in, they're coming in and saying, I want a 6-year contract. He's already comes into that 6-year contract and says, I want you to shave some money off if I'm going to offer you time.
Yeah, but okay, so let's hold on.
The other teams aren't doing that, so he's not going to be able to make the investment that he needs to make.
So hypothetically here, Trade Rumors is saying Corbin Burns 7 years, $200 million. If Artie wanted him, I could see him doing that. But the reason why he might not is because of the age. Like he's 30 years old. He'd be 36 at the end of the deal. It might not end well.
Sure.
But in terms of there's young art. Like everyone's saying, oh, Blake Snell's probably going to be an Angel, which is 5 years, 160. Sort of similar situation. But I'm saying, like, my point is like we can't. I get it. Artie's a shitty owner, but trying to be like, oh, he doesn't sign guys to market value, where it's like, okay, well, what's market value?
The whole point of this was, could Artie have signed someone in the offseason that they ended up pushing Neto for the starting job?
Yeah, I think he could have.
Could he have? He didn't. I don't think, in terms of the talent now that Neto is starting to display, versus what you could have signed, you could have maybe gotten someone comparable.
I mean, they kind of did.
Comparable and less controllable in terms of contracts.
I don't remember what the thing was, but it's like I think they could have offered it. Would he have taken it? I don't know. That's a different story, but they didn't even offer him. They spin it around and got like guys like Jury.
Well, and that also like, I like what they did with Neto because right now you're the Angels. You still have a hole at third base. You still have a hole at second. So
You have a hole
what
at
you're saying
one.
is a lot of these talents that you're mentioning, like even Urshela, like why would
in
we
that
still
scenario-
not want? But why would we still not want? Why would we still not want Neto
But in
in
that
that scenario?
with-
Because then you need either Neto at second or
but
third.
in that scenario, you would just shift Trey Turner to second because he played second with the Dodgers. And
No,
just say,
no,
like,
no,
he's a better defensive.
no. In this scenario, you're not getting Trey Turner. You're getting Urshela.
Well, we got Urshela and we played him at third.
Well, yeah, but then we let him go on basically nothing.
You let him go because he broke his pelvis because he fell down.
Yeah, but he signed for a $2 million, a 1 year, $2 million.
Yeah, on a minor league deal
contract.
to start for a shitty team. Then you
Well, that's
went
what
to
I'm
the
saying.
Braves.
Like it would have cost the Angels nothing. But anyways, that's besides the point. You're still not giving me anybody other than Trey Turner as a possibility that the Angels could have signed that could
at
have.
that time,
that
I don't
would have
remember. I
complete-
don't remember.
And now you also as I've pointed out, you need multiple people to displace Neto.
Because I
You
don't
get
want.
Trey Turner. He either goes, and then you still can have Neto either at third or second.
Well,
and
I
then
don't
you're
remember
still better off than you are now.
I don't remember who else was free agents at the time, so I can't even be like, "Oh, you could have gotten this guy," because I don't remember.
Yeah, but now you're asking me to sign two people.
I literally just sort of like I'm trying to look because I don't remember them.
But
So it's
that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Angels have that capability.
There's like you could have gotten Iglesias again. You could have gotten like there's guys you could have gotten. I just
don't think talent wise you.
I don't remember this
had
list.
a significant enough gain, and that's why I like what the Angels did with Neto and Shanwell in terms of at least getting young guys out there to see what they have.
That's even
you're
less
not
of a
going to
gamble.
do anything else.
Again, I think you're just trying to make reference to something that it didn't happen and just be like it worked because we didn't take the shot. Okay, which is fine. I don't.
No. I'm
understand
just
the
saying.
point.
I'm just saying. I like that at least we're doing that. I would rather if you're not going to go all in and invest on star players at every position.
Well, you can't do that unless you're like the Dodgers.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Unless as Artie Moreno, unless you're willing to just go in and say, I'm going to throw all the cash. I'm going to get this private equity firm behind me now, and I'm going to throw in as much cash as I can to field a World Series contending roster. Then I'd rather have young guys out on the field developing in the major leagues.
I'm just gonna say that's not also a winning mentality either, but that's neither here nor there.
No, that's the thing. I'd rather have young guys developing in the major leagues than have a decent team that maybe might make a push at the playoffs.
I think we want different things. 'Cause I want a team that's gonna push the playoffs and not be the Rockies. No offense.
Hey, none taken.
I want a team that's going to contend.
Because at that point,
at that point you're the Rockies doing that. But with Artie, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be going for contending.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm gonna say the thing. Do you want to know what the problem is? Artie's not the problem. It's an everything problem. Everyone just wants to point the finger at Artie because Artie. It's easy to blame the owner than the internal components, and it's all of it.
When it's
all of it.
But when it's been this bad for this many years, you have to start at the top.
No, you can start at the top, but I think the idea of saying like, "Oh, he's not cultivating talent," he's just paying the wrong talent.
Yeah, because he's not willing to pay for the right talent. The right talent always ends up out of his price range.
I'm gonna ask you this: was Anthony Rendon not the right talent at the time?
I think he was a good pickup. At the time, it felt like the right thing.
No, that's the problem. It's like you can't say it's the right.
But if Rendon had turned out good, even if right now he was still contributing, the Angels would barely be maybe making the playoffs.
Yeah, but they still make the playoffs.
I don't want to just make the playoffs. I want to contend for the World Series.
You have to get in first.
Yeah, but I'm not going to win a World Series even if Rendon was playing well and we won the Wild.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You get in.
Yeah,
As long as you get in.
But who were the two teams in the World Series this year?
This was the
best
first
team in
year.
the AL, the best team in the NL.
I don't think it was the best team in the AL.
Roger Yankees.
I don't think it was the best team in the AL. I think the Guards were the best team in the AL.
Past years, even some of the most of these Cinderella runs aren't turning into World Series. Most of these Cinderella runs are turning into maybe a World Series appearance where they get swept in 4 or 5 games. Yeah. I don't want that. I want a team that's built well from top down.
However, you gotta walk before you run, and sometimes that's what's going to take is you.
I know, which is why you develop the young talent that you have.
You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, I want to contend, but I don't want to spend money. Like, when you literally say, oh, if we had this guy, we might contend for a spot. Yeah, that's why you spend the money. You can't have it both ways. Or again, no offense, CJ, you end up like the Rockies.
Did I say I wanted it both ways?
No, but I'm saying you can't.
I want it one way or the other. I either want Arte Moreno to go out and spend the money that it takes to put a World Series contending roster together, or to say, screw it, I don't want to spend the money, I'm going to invest in young talent. He's not doing either. That's the whole point. That's why I like the couple of times that they have tried to develop some young talent.
Yeah, but it's failed 9 times out of 10. 2 successes out of all of it. Isn't exactly
they haven't exactly been putting a lot of these guys in the league outside of Shanwell and Neto.
Every guy they brought up last year, it's been misery.
Yes, but those are guys that they were stashing away in.
Are we stashing away guys?
These weren't guys that they were picking up.
I'm saying like
well in college.
No. I'm saying like guys like Kana Dana and stuff where it's like it didn't look that great.
Sure.
That's my point. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to be a little more hopeful that it's like, oh, they can be sneaky and get some of these like Japanese imports for kind of, you know, lowish pay with very high ceilings. Give them time.
I would have agreed with you like 10 years ago, but my approach to sports has changed for my sports teams. I no longer want my sports, like, I no longer want, you know, the Lakers or whoever to just be going out there and putting out a team that, we might make the playoffs. I want a team that's going to contend, and if I'm not going to have a team that's going to contend, I want to hit the reset button.
That operation to me just seems like hell, because you're either trying to set yourself up for success or failure. And I'm just using Colorado. Now, I'm trying to get CJ back in the conversation, but like, look at what the Broncos did. Mm-hmm. Like, they kind of muddled for a few years and fixed it by slightly tearing it down, but got a piece that works. Like, I don't think this like whole like either go for it or not works, because at some point you have to just get in there, get your feet wet, get these guys that taste, and then use that to propel yourself to that next step. Like, trying to be like either throw it all in there or do nothing. Like, that's not going to get you anything. All you're going to do is hate yourself for.
Yeah, but my problem with all of that is that if you continue to muddle along and, you know, be hovering right around playoff contention, but that's it. That's all you're doing for 10, 15 years, when you might have been able to build things from the ground up, and that takes more like 5 years, and then every 5 years this didn't work, so let's keep working at it. Whereas there are teams like
Can I ask you this question? This is an actual example. There is a team in the NFL that wins a Super Bowl once a decade. Like, they have a good 2-3 years and they win a Super Bowl. About every decade. Versus a team that won like 3 Super Bowls in a 10-year period. Who would you rather have? And hasn't won since. Who would you rather be? A team that wins a Super Bowl every decade. So like they'll they make a run about once every decade, or a team that's won 3 Super Bowls wins 3 Super Bowls, and then doesn't do jack diddly shit for the next 20 years? Who would you rather be?
I don't get why you're giving me these options.
I'd be that first one personally. Like the Ravens, essentially, is that first option. Every 10 years,
It was basically the Giants Cowboys,
yeah,
like once a decade.
Yeah.
Because my point is like you're saying you want it, like you want an all or nothing thing, and what I'm trying to say is that doesn't really work because
I didn't. No. I did not say I want an all or nothing thing.
You said I want to contend or I want to be out.
I said if I'm not contending for a championship right now, I don't want to keep muddling with that same team. I want to sell that team for parts and then try to build up for a championship later down the line.
I'm going to be honest. I think that's an asinine take because that is absurdity. Because if you're around 80, like in baseball, 80, 90 wins and you're in the playoffs and you're getting in there.
Yeah, but okay, but
you're going to get
here's a more apt
you'll get lucky.
Here's a more apt comparison for what I would want. Angels and Astros.
The Astros sucked.
No. So what the Astros
but in a different era.
What the Astros did was they broke down their team and they just
no, they didn't. They did not tear down the team. What Houston did when Houston came to the AL, Houston just flat out said, "We're not doing shit," and they had high picks, so they had. Oh God, Bregman, Springer. I forget how they did it, but it was like 2-3 years of suck.
Yes.
Yeah, their last years in the NL.
I would rather my team suck for a few years, get those high picks, and hope that the gamble pays off.
The thing is that
constantly signing just enough talent to say we'll compete for the playoffs.
I understand what you're saying, and I have wanted the same thing for the Broncos for years because we haven't had a quarterback in 10 years. But you also run the risk when you do that consistently every 3 to 5 years on the cycle of, hey, this isn't working, tear it down. This isn't working, tear it down. You risk becoming the Jaguars or the Jets, where it doesn't work for multiple cycles in a row, and you're a crap team for going on 2 decades or whatever it is. So I think there needs to be a mix, right? Like, yeah, it's good to tear down when the team is obviously have no road forward. But if you have a couple young guys, like, why not pay for some free agents that are temporary, get your feet wet, go to the playoffs, get some experience?
I don't know. I'm just thinking it more in line with like what the Chargers have done.
The Chargers kind of muddled. Like, I wouldn't say the Chargers rebuilt.
I'd say
yes, but the Chargers were never. I was trying to figure out how I was going to phrase that, but the Chargers had to not be great for enough time for them to land on a Herbert and on a, then they could finally bring in a coach.
Yeah, so like Herbert, the Chargers
only sucked that 1 year.
Yeah, so the Chargers, looking at their records, they were like 9-7 for like 5 or 6 years in a row. They had 2 really bad years, at 4-12, 5-11. Then they were kind of good again. They got a 12-4 year, and then they went 5-11. That's when they got Herbert. So like they were kind of in that like 500.
I guess what I was trying to say with the Chargers was they're only just now contending, and it's taken decades.
Well,
they were good back in the LT days. Like the
problem with the Chargers is the Chargers were just charging, so they always were perceived to be better than they actually their records showed. Like, hype realistically, the years they were 7-9, they easily could have been 9-7.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but that's my thing is I as somebody who's watched the Chargers for that long,
mm-hmm.
who's vaguely rooted for them for that long. Mostly because it took me a while to really get in. Even now, the NFL doesn't entertain me as much as it probably should until the playoffs get around.
Right.
Like, the regular season to me is like one of the most boring things in the world. For the NFL, watching so many. There's only like a few games here and there throughout the entire season that I'm like, yeah, awesome, and then it's like, oh,
and it's like whatever.
But like it's only, and then so it's like, would I rather have a team like the Chargers where you've muddled around for 20 years? Because like even you could say go back to the LT days, but like it's okay, maybe back as far as 2008. So like a decade and a half
Like
of
15
just
years.
muddling around.
Right.
A decade and a half of muddling around, and then finally you're starting to hit gold with like some of those slightly later. And football's different too.
It is, and that's the thing is
football's a hard one to say. Like
football's
to say,
weird
like-
because football. You gotta remember, football kind of wanted everyone to be 8-8. Like that's their goal. Is like you want to be 8-8, and for the most part, I'd say the Chargers were in that like where the NFL's like, "Oh, you did great. You were right there."
right.
Like they weren't an extreme.
I think but then you look at another team like the Browns, who have been terrible since the late '80s.
So for me, it's like the same. It was the same thing with the Lakers this offseason, except they got lucky in the draft, and Connect fell to them, and then they've had a couple of like, I mean, they have good scouting. I'll give the Lakers that their scouts have been really good.
Free agents have been tough.
There's
but
so many
their
players
draft
in the
picks have been pretty good.
NBA that are like contributors to teams, and it's like, yeah, that was a second round guy that the Lakers took. Like, look at Jordan Clarkson and what was I'm trying to think of that.
Taylor Horton Tucker was good for like
Taylor,
6 months.
Yeah, good for a little bit.
I know who the other
I'm thinking of the
Larry
guy
Nance Jr.
Larry Nance Jr.
Larry Nance Jr.
He's good.
And then I feel like there was a guy that ended up going to the
Caruso too is another like late round.
Caruso. Well, no, but I'm thinking there's a guy that went to the Pelicans that was
Ingram?
pretty decent for the. No. This was like a second round pick, and I'm trying to think of who it was. But it's just like the thing is it's so much harder. Yeah,
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart.
That's a good call.
Like another example of like, yeah, but these were all guys that none of them were going to set the Lakers up for like championship contention.
No, but
all
I would
along
say
that way. But the Lakers had what the Lakers had is LeBron when it was time for him to set up his media empire or whatever. He was the Lakers have the ability to say you can do that here, like.
Yeah,
and so like you have a little bit of a cachet there, like for the Lakers, but the Angels don't have that. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
well,
I'd rather see the Angels just mostly go in on developing young talent.
Basketball and I would say basketball.
They're not going to go out
different.
and try to. Well, but that's what I'm saying. So if you're not going to go out, like in any sport, this is applicable. If you're not going to go out and try to field the best team possible, if you're not going to really be in the conversation for most of the best free agents,
agree to disagree.
Then I'd rather field the team of younger guys.
No offense, that just seems like misery because it seems like all you're trying to do in that case is either be like, are we going to contend? Nope. All right, trade. It just seems like the Marlins at that point.
Yeah, but if
and that doesn't work.
If you continue on, you can end up like the Chargers and another 15 years from now, and the Angels are still, in 15 years, if the Angels don't win the World Series, they are, 30 some odd years, let's 15 years from now is 2039, so they'd be it'd be 37 years from having won their last World Series.
Okay,
and if they're continuing to trot the same kind of idea,
and the Guardians haven't won one since the 40s.
We've never won one.
The Rockies haven't.
We showed up once and we got killed.
It's not exactly like it's like this thing. If the playoff drought continues, then you can have that conversation.
Which is why I like my approach of trying to develop talent and hoping that it starts. The reason the Astros were good for several years there was because they developed young talent and they were set up.
They hit on 3 guys. It's not like they built a team out of
but once
once
that young talent started to hit, you could start pulling in more free agents. You could start. Once you start having young talent that there is to build around, you can start saying, such big player. We've got, like let's say Neto continues to develop at a decent pace and he gets to a point where he's hitting 275, 20 some odd home runs or whatever a year. I don't know what his ceiling actually is. I don't know what his projections could actually be. That's just like, but let's say he starts
2020.
But yeah, let's say he does that and it shows like, hey, we've got him, and let's say another young guy pans out, and like suddenly you can go to these free agents and say, can you take a slightly, like, if you're going to continue to be arty and you're going to continue to say I'm not going to beat out every other owner, then you can say I will approach what that other owner's doing, but guess what? I've got these guys who you guys can go out and do something special.
I don't think that works that way.
Yeah, I think
like
the free
optimism.
agents just laughs at that, saying, "Hey, we'll take less money." Okay, sure. The Yankees will
Unless,
pay me
like,
market value.
But
Like,
you don't have any other options if you're not going to offer them more money than the other players.
oh, 100%. Yeah. So like it to me, it comes down to the ownership
but-
not wanting to
but here,
spend what's
but
necessary,
here's my
right?
counter
Like,
offer. But here's my counter offer: is like if that was the argument, hey, you want to play with Trout and Ohtani, and it didn't happen.
yeah.
Yeah, but by the time they could offer that, where that was like in where
You arguably
Ohtani
had
was
a
up to the
3-year
talent
window.
level that you were up to, Trout was getting hurt every year.
Yeah, but you had three. I'm saying you
And
had
go
3
to
years.
you go to these big free agents and you say, "Hey, come over here," and they're like, "What for
but-
Trout to hurt himself in
but-
May and then again in August?"
But I don't think that's how it works in baseball. I don't think baseball's like basketball, where it's like, hey, you want to play with
But that's
LeBron?
the thing is if you're not. But you're right. So this comes back to the fact that if you're not going to spend money, you're not going to win.
It's true.
So choose one lane and just hope that one works out better than the other.
I just say try to get in the playoffs, and if you get in the playoffs, step one, and then go from there. Not this.
You may have a Cinderella run like the Rockies did.
Yeah, no, that's my point. Is like you're better off saying I want to be in the playoff picture because you're better off saying we were that close.
Yeah.
All we need is one guy. Let's find the one guy to get us over that hump.
Yeah, but didn't the Angels try that in 2015?
I don't remember.
They were that close. They were the best record in baseball, but instead of
Teixeira? Wait, 2015.
No, we're talking 2015. No, I'm talking.
Oh, I don't think they
the
made
year after we won the AL West.
I don't think they did anything that year trade wise.
Find out.
Trade wise or free agents? I thought I remember there being a lot of free agent talk. 2015.
2015, they were dead last in the majors in free agent spending.
Yeah, they didn't do dick that year. That was 24. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, no, but we're talking
2014.
about free agent spending. What about free agent?
2014 was the last year they made the playoffs, and they didn't do anything because Hamilton fell into more cocaine.
Oh, yeah, that's
That year.
right. Yeah.
So that team got gutted. They went from 98 wins to 85 wins
Yeah.
because someone fell into a pound of cocaine, and they had to replace Josh Hamilton with Matt Joyce, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Well, anyways,
I
we're not going to see eye to eye on approaches to how this should work because I'm sitting here saying we should build from the ground up and try to get a good farm system going and hope that
We did
things
that,
land that way. That's the thing, we haven't. Like we addressed positions in the draft the past several years. We took 20 pitchers in a draft one year to try to fix the pitching.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying, like, if you're not trying to make something happen on like the pitching front, then you could have had a more balanced draft of taking the best options available for your team.
I'm just here, man.
So
I was as a side note, I was looking at the Rockies free agent spending year by year, and it's hilarious what their chart looks like.
It's gotta be like just like a freak,
so
like a
it's
like a
2020, second to last, they spent $1 million. 2021, dead last, spent $2.1 million. 2022, we'll skip that year, come back to it. 2023,
is that the
26
Chris Bryant year?
for 17 mil, and then 2024 dead last again for 4.2. 2022, the year we skipped,
Chris
they were
Bryant year.
sixth for $195 million. So
That
they're
was all Chris
the
Bryant,
bottom
right?
5, and then they have this spike up to 6th place in the majors, and they're back
Because
down to 30th.
Chris Bryant, baby.
Chris Bryant. Anyway.
Yeah, like I said, we're not gonna see eye to eye.
No,
so
it's
there's
not
no point in
true.
shooting.
Okay, it's not an eye to eye thing. I think we just have. I think our viewpoint on how to build an organization is different.
Yeah, no, that's why I said we're not gonna see eye to eye on it.
I just think I think contention. I'd rather contend, or at least be in a position to contend, and not this all or nothing. I don't think an all or nothing. I don't think an all or nothing aspect works.
Well, I'm not offering an all or nothing. I'm offering a.
You said if you're not contending for a World Series, I want to tear it down.
Then I want to build the team.
That's the Marlins, and I don't that doesn't work.
Just, like I said, we're not going to see eye to eye.
Yeah.
I just give
All right,
you the option.
I can continue. No. I can continue to point out that all I want is if my team's not doing well, I want them to just invest in youth.
I don't think you can do that in baseball. It takes too long. That's the problem. Is like for that.
Yeah,
for
but
that plan
I'd
to work-
rather watch a team. I'd rather watch a team because right now with the Angels, I think at best what I can hope for is in the next 5 years is maybe they make the playoffs once. That's being extraordinarily optimistic.
For your plan to work, you'd have to basically nail the draft in the years you're doing really well, which it can happen, but you'd have to nail picks when you're doing well, so that if you do have a year where guys get old or you have to get rid of guys, that the guys you flip can bring back guys to replenish the guys that you drafted well on. So you get so basically you have you can just replace. Essentially, you're the Dodgers. Like the Dodgers are basically what you want to be. Is you want to be in the position where you can spend the money, but then you can make the trade and trade these guys.
Obviously, if I could have both, I want both.
No, but I'm saying
which is why I want. But that's why I want Artie out of there. Like, if you're asking for me, what I want my ultimate approach in baseball to be, regardless of who the owner is, then yeah, I would change my approach. But with Artie Moreno, you're just not going to get the right talent to get you to even really to the playoffs at this point.
I'm just going to end it.
You can continue to say that you're gonna sign the best talent available, and then just not make the playoffs, and that's just not going to work for me.
This is my last words, and we can call it there. In terms of Artie, yeah, Artie bad. Artie should go. He should look at the Ducks and cry tears. Same thing with the Colorado guys. They should look at the Broncos and be crying.
Thanks, Monfort.
But I'm going, like I said, I'll end on this. Incompetence in a general manager position doesn't matter who your owner is. It comes down to incompetence at a level that has to be set at basically at the GM level. And comparing the two, they're in the right direction compared to the idiot.
I will say, I think Perry and Artie do not match up well as owner GM.
But the difference is Perry's willing to push Artie and say do this, and I think that's going to put them in a better position in the long run. It's just a matter of is it too little, too late?
I've seen that though.
Again, it's a matter of is it too little, too late? It might be too little, too late.
Yeah, I just haven't seen enough of a push. So,
like I said, we could be the Rockies, and I'm not trying to. Like I said, I'm not picking on them. I'm
no
just
shit on them. It's fine. They deserve it.
That's the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can't sign players, you can't even develop players.
Nope. We set up our minor league system in the wrong way. The humidor, we're not taking advantage of the altitude. There's a whole list of things.
There's a laundry list
with the Rockies that is outside even owner, player, management,
wonky.
That stuff. Yeah.
Like it's batty at how weird they are.
Yeah.
Like you could be in that position. Or the Marlins.
That's why we got a AAA baseball team in Denver.
We got AAA baseball team in Anaheim, baby.
Let's go. Well, anyway, I guess that probably is we've been out for an hour 20. We probably should wrap it up. So yeah, I guess we'll be back on Meeting Specs on Wednesday. And also,
Bryce wants. Oh wait,
just a side note.
I don't know. Bryce, can you be there on Wednesday night? I don't know.
Yes.
See,
as long as it's early enough.
Probably not. I'll probably be our normal spot. It might be our normal spot.
We'll figure it out.
If you guys couldn't do it, because I would just like to be in bed. So if you guys could do it at like 8 Mountain Time.
That's usually when we start anyway.
Yeah.
And then we don't go any longer than an hour, then I could probably push for...
Yeah, we usually go 45.
Then I could probably push for getting a solid 6.
I was gonna say,
of sleeping.
I was gonna ask you, like, is your schedule different because it's Thanksgiving?
Hold on, before we start talking about this, let's end this stream.
Hours on
hey,
Thanksgiving.
Bye everyone. We're gonna